Hello and welcome along to a very special episode of this FM19 story, part of the furniture with me, Daniel. We're 10 years in the future and we're going to review all that's happened at Torquay, as well as having a look around all of Europe's big leagues, just as we did at the end of Season 5, to see who's been winning all the major honours. But first, let's focus on ourselves. Those of you that have been following along will know how we've been doing this year. It's been a landmark season, we've moved into our new stadium, and just on course, we've got promoted to the Premier League, just as we said we'd hoped in the 5-year review. I'm not going to give you any spoilers from the transfer window as we go through this episode, as we've got a big preparation for the Premier League, and then obviously the next one will be a transfer special, with us going through all of those ins and outs in great detail, and then playing our first game of the season in 2 episodes time, our first ever Premier League game with Torquay. The one spoiler I will give you though, as you can see it on this screen, we've been offered a new deal, so we've now got a new 3-year contract with double the wage, even though Manchester City tried to steal us. So we've got a good reputation, but let's go back to the home screen just to see how things finished last year. We won the championship on the final day of the season, we scored the most in the league, and we conceded a few less than last year, so all went rather well, although my beloved Luton Town did get relegated, something we'll look at a bit later on. In addition to looking at the big European leagues, we will go through the English pyramid again, just to see if there are any more surprises, a side that are either 2 or 3 divisions above where they should be, like we are and Maidstone were in Season 5, or a side that have dropped a few divisions as well, which there were also 1 or 2 of last time out. So I'll put a link to the 5-year review in the eye above, so if you want to at any point you can go back and compare and see how sides have changed since then. But let's get into our review of Torquay. Obviously the biggest moment for the club this year was moving into that brand new stadium, and the fact we've managed to grace it now with Premier League football at the first attempt is absolutely wonderful. So we're going to go and look at the club and just see our facilities at the moment. It's a huge upgrade from what we had 5 years ago, as we've really tried to invest some of our record sales in improving the facilities at the club. So we will go and look at the record transfers in a minute, but let's just look at this screen now. Obviously we've got a stadium with 2.5 times the capacity, and it's got an expansion capacity of 29,500, so it's only halfway to what it could be. We've got excellent training facilities and good youth facilities too, an extensive youth recruitment, and just average coaching, something we'll go and change as soon as this episode's done. I'm not quite sure why that's dropped off so much, it's something we'll certainly go and review. In terms of affiliates, as it stands now, we don't have any parent clubs. We're about to be in the same division as Liverpool, so that link will presumably be terminated, and then we'll just have our affiliate club Truro, who hopefully we can continue to help out. But if we go and look at our history, and our records in particular, let's go and look at the overview of them, so we can see which are our best achievements since we've been here. We've got our first place finish in the championship, which is our highest ever league position. That was this season, and obviously the club's lowest was our first season in charge, as they dropped into the National League South for the first time, but we brought them back as champions at the first attempt. So we matched Gary Johnson in real life in that one. Let's see if he can do what we've done for the next 9 years. We still haven't beaten our points tally in that season, as it was the lowest tier we've played in. You wouldn't expect us to get higher, and we'll be lucky to get 40 next year, just to try and stay up. Our fewest points in the season was before we were here. Most league wins again was the National League South, the same for the fewest defeats too. The most league goals scored in the season remains our League 2 campaign, as we got promotion at the second attempt to take us into League 1 for Season 5. Attendances are going up. Our highest ever attendance was presumably when everything was all terracing. That was in 1955 against Huddersfield, but if this stadium does eventually get to full capacity before the end of this series, we will break that attendance record, something I'm really keen to do. But this year we did get our record gate receipts in, 442,000 for the FA Cup 4th round. That was against Premier League Watford, so as we play big sides in the league next year, I'd imagine we'll match that a few times. Our lowest ever attendance was the Checker Trade Trophy, and that's just why that competition's so awful for EFL clubs. We haven't broken our biggest win or defeat since we've been here, but we've had our highest scoring match. That was against AFC Wimbledon in League 2, a 7-3 victory. I'm not sure if that one was on camera actually, but we did win it 7-3, and it was a wonderful game of football. As long as we score more goals than the opposition, I'm always pretty happy. Moving on to the transfers though, that's where most of the action's been in this series. We broke our incoming transfer record in January, 1.8 million near enough for Ben Foster from New England in the MLS. That'll get broken broken this summer without a shadow of a doubt, but I'm not sure about our highest transfer fee received. Richard Quirk for 25 million to Southampton, the first star that came through our youth intake, and I'm really gutted we didn't keep him. He didn't even make an appearance for Southampton this year, so there's no way he's benefited from the move as much as if he'd stayed at Torquay. They wouldn't even loan him back without us paying 37 grand a week, but I'm determined to try and get him here next year. Let's see if we can pull that off for the start of the season. You can see our total transfer spend in this whole series so far is just £3.8 million, and that's not even a sixth of the money we bought in for Quirk alone. Then when you consider we've brought in 8-figure sums for the likes of Owen Jack and David Crawford as well, it really does make you wonder how on earth we've managed to get 5 promotions. As a result of the fact we've been a selling club throughout, we've obviously got no one who's in contention for the most goals and appearances at the club. It's such a shame because Richard Quirk could have been that man, and he might have finished the series as our record appearance holder, but it wasn't to be. Unfortunately, he decided to move on. We've got Adam Lewis starring on the average rating screen. John Gerrard made his debut at 15, another youth intake prospect who'll become a good pro, but probably won't make it in the Premier League. For those of you who've been following from the start, you'll remember this goal from Mikhail Kennedy. It was our first ever goal in the series, our first league goal at Torquay in the first game of the National League South season. Mikhail Kennedy scored after 14 seconds as we were still trying to amend our match settings, and I completely missed the goal. It was a Chris Kamara moment for sure. But we've never beaten that since, so it is a memorable moment, and to be fair, the changing of the settings and missing the goal makes it extra special for me. Unsurprisingly, a couple of the goal records, such as the most in a game, has been broken by Owen Jack. He was an absolute superstar while we were here, and unfortunately, due to the playoffs, he's going to be playing in a lower division than us next year. We've got Adam Lewis breaking assist record and man of the match awards as well, and Alex Bass keeping clean sheets, although that was back in season 1. We've got John Gerrard as our youngest goal scorer, not a surprise considering he's a striker who came on at 15, and he scored after 3 or 4 appearances, which certainly meant he broke that record. And then in the season after our 5-year review, down in League 1, we had our record spell of matches without losing, as in season 6 we got promotion to the Championship. It was a brilliant record of 21 games, and it was a key part in us getting promotion to this division. And obviously after 4 years here, we've managed to get promoted to the Premier League, and it's going to be a wonderful day next season as we step out of the Torquay Stadium in the top flight of English football. But let's go and look at our transfers in a bit more detail. Our record signing from each year, you can see it's gradually been creeping up. For this January is the first time we've spent £1 million on a player, which shows just how frugal we've been. On the other hand though, if we show you the received deals, in the last 4 years we've sold Owen Jack for 13.5, Richard Quirk for 25, David Crawford for 11, and loads for multiple millions as well. The best deal on that screen by a mile is still John Richards to West Ham for 4 million. We got a bit of a sell-on clause after as well. An absolutely remarkable fee for an average player. I can't believe we managed to get it. He's obviously been released and come back to us since as a backup player, been out on loan again, and still isn't going to cut it, so he'll be released in the summer. And the last thing I want to do is show you the best 11 at Torquay over the last 10 years. This is our overall best 11 according to the fans or whoever makes this. It's Alex Bass in goal. We would expect that as bar 1 year he's been the keeper the whole time. Nico Williams and Adam Lewis are the fullbacks, 2 players who are still starring for us now. Club captain Johnny Byrne for so many years. He was with us for about 7 or 8 seasons. He's alongside Reece Williams, who's been superb all the way up. He left us once, but he was good enough to come back, and now he's got Premier League football to show for it. Carl Cohen somehow got on the right hand side. He's only played 1 season for us. I guess it shows we haven't really had good right sided players. If Quirk had stayed, he'd probably be the right back with Nico Williams on the right of midfield. And again, because we haven't been playing with wingers so often, Conor McKendry showing on the left hand side. We haven't really had standout left backs either, so again Lewis can't push forward into his natural position because we don't really have so many options. I guess McKendry and Cohen got good average ratings, so that's the reason they're going to be up there. And then Broder and Duncan are up front. Brilliant achievements from them, but I'm a bit disappointed Rutherford isn't in there to get 36 goals in his first season and guide us to the Premier League. Hopefully if he has another good year next season, he'll be able to break into this side and hopefully keep us in the Premier League as well. We've got Eamon McCabe on the bench. There's the name of someone who's just left. Mikhail Kennedy still hanging on. Matt Foy, how can we forget about him? And then the likes of Crawford, Walker, Davis and Billy O'Brien. 4 of our stars from the lower leagues in past years. It's great to reflect on some of the names we haven't seen for a while, the likes of Matt Foy, who retired at 25 after playing for a few years at Alfreton too, but he was so important for us in those early years, and without players like that, we wouldn't have even got to the Football League. So fantastic to see all the names in there, although Lee Rutherford will surely break in next season if he does have that good year and keep us up. But let me know your thoughts on that best 11. If you've been following for the 10 years, are there any notable absentees that you think should be in that side without a doubt? Or in contrast, is there anyone you think has flattered to deceive and shouldn't be in there at all? So one of the ones I'm a bit surprised about is Matt Butcher in the middle. Carl Cohen on the right is absolutely awful. But then Matt Butcher in the middle as well, I never remember him performing too well. But I guess looking at that, he scored about 1 in 8, which isn't too bad for a central midfielder. But not too many complaints about it overall. It's a really good side, and I guess the formation it plays really dictates the type of players who go in. If it was playing a diamond, it would be far easier. We'd have 4 solid central midfielders in there, and the 2 weaker wingers wouldn't be in the team. But now we've done with Torquay, let's go and look at the English football pyramid. We'll go and start in the Premier League. Even though we were in a championship last year, we've come back at the end of the playoffs, so we can see all the sides that have gone up and down this year. The only thing that will be missing from this one is Euro 2028, because I didn't want this episode to fall too far into the transfer window and risk spoiling any of our summer work. So in the Premier League, it's pretty much normal suspects at the top, but Everton are in the Champions League despite finishing 6th, so that to me can only mean they've won the Europa League, which would be a wonderful achievement if they have. Wolves, Brighton and Middlesbrough back down. Not too surprising, I guess Wolves in real life would be, but in this game they seem to run out of money quite quickly, and that Portuguese link doesn't seem to be there. So in terms of past winners, the first 5 years was a bit surprising because we had Arsenal win it in the first year, then 2 for United and 2 for Liverpool. Liverpool got a 3rd in a row in year 6, and then United have dominated since, with 3 wins and just City intercepting that with 1. So Manchester United, the dominant force in England as it stands at the moment. So when we come up to the Premier League next year, there's not really any surprises for us. The big sides are up there, the top 6 plus Everton, and then the rest of the sides we've got to try and get results against, particularly at home at the Torquay Stadium. So we weren't really expecting too many surprises in the Premier League due to the amount of money the top 6 or 7 had. So let's move down the tiers and see if we get some more. Obviously we're going to be the main one in the next division. So Blackburn won the playoff final, rightly so as they finished in 3rd place. They join us and Sheffield United in the Premier League. That's the biggest surprise, that Torquay are up there of course, but we've masterminded that so we can't be too surprised. Lincoln City are up in the Championship too, although they've just been promoted to League One as champions in real life. The Cowley brothers doing a brilliant job there, so we wouldn't be surprised if this happened in real life too. I've mentioned my sadness at seeing Luton Town go back down. They've just been promoted in real life to this division, so hopefully that won't happen next year. If we move down to League One then, Barnsley are back, the side who just joined Luton in the Championship in real life. They beat Bolton in the playoff final, another side who will be in this tier in real life next year. So Football Manager seems to be understanding that quite well. Northampton did get promoted to the Championship. That's a bit of a surprise as well. They were running away with the league at the halfway mark. We were looking at their squad in a January transfer window, so I'm surprised they've only managed to finish 2nd. The only side that started in the Premier League that are down in the 3rd tier here, that's Huddersfield at the moment, but obviously that happens Sunderland in real life, so we can't say it's a huge surprise. Nothing strange happening aside from that. All of the sides going up and down you'd expect, and no one in this tier who's more than 2 or 3 divisions away from where they should be. Sheffield Wednesday were one of the surprises of season 5. They got relegated to League 2 in that one, but they're back comfortably in League 1 now, so it's not quite as much of a shock as it would have been. Let's move on to League 2 then. We'll find out who won the playoffs first. I'm not sure who it was. Maidstone have made their return to League 1. They continue to fight to be the surprise. They only finished 7th in the league as well, but look at that little patch in the division there. Maidstone we know have been up in League 1, as they will be again next year, having started as a lowly conference side. Stockport, who started in the National League North, they're up to League 2 and flying high. Fylde have got a promotion in there as well, playing in the Football League, as they could be for the first time in real life next season. They're into the playoff final. And then Leyton Orient, who won the National League in real life last week, have just won League 2 in game, so they'll be back in League 1, something their fans will be delighted to see. I guess Boreham Wood's probably the only other standout name in League 2 there, a side that have always been in non-league in my lifetime, but aside from that there's no real shocks, so we'll just move on to the National League. Look at that playoff final for the National League. Crewe Alexandra v Plymouth Argyle. Both teams are surprised to be in the National League. I guess Crewe were League 2 in real life, Plymouth were League 1, and although they've been relegated to League 2 in real life, to see them struggling in the conference is a bit surprising. Newport have bounced back to League 2 as well. The likes of Stevenage in there, Morecambe as well. All Football League clubs at the moment. Tranmere Rovers, Oldham Athletic, and look at that other bottom, Grimsby Town, who are in League 2, have just been relegated to the National League North. There are loads of surprises in this division. We're going to find some sides who have been sliding down. Certainly a shock to see Grimsby moving into the 6th tier, and let's go and see who they'll be joining. If I remember rightly, there was a shock or two in this division, and I think I remember it being Blackpool, so they have finally started their comeback at the end of season 10. They've just won the league, so well done to them. Hopefully we'll see them back in the Football League eventually. Kettering are joining them in the National League next year, and there's no surprises in the teams dropping out, so let's move on to the National League South. A slightly more expected playoff final there. Bath won away to Dover Athletic, the side we obviously managed in the head coach in FM19. Our affiliate club Truro was stuck in mid-table. They had a decent year. And the South seems to be a lot more sensible. No really surprising names in that one. So a bit more of a calmer note to end on. But let's move on to the top European leagues. We're going to have a look at the Bundesliga as well. It's a division I really love in real life. So let's see who's been winning it. Obviously in this series, as we're focused on a bottom to top English challenge, we haven't got these leagues loaded. But every 10 years I'll come and have a look just to see who's been winning it. So absolutely dominated by Bayern. They've won 9 of the 10 divisions. And Borussia Dortmund nicked the other one. That they've been perennial second place finishers. Let's also go and have a look at Serie A in Italy. That's another big league I enjoy watching. Juventus again have won it 9 out of 10, with Inter Milan nicking the other one, despite never finishing in second aside from that. And the other one's going to be La Liga. I think it's not licensed in this game. So the Spanish First Division, a lot more variation in that one. And the most frequent winners have been Atletico Madrid. They've won 5 of the 10 divisions. Real Madrid have got 2 and Barcelona 2. And the current season hasn't finished yet, so we haven't got a 10th winner in that one. But that's really surprising to see Atletico dominate. They're obviously the side who are normally second or third in real life, but it seems like they've become superstars in this one. And then lastly, let's go and look at the European and World competitions. So if we go and look at the Champions League, the European Champions Cup in game, see who's been winning that one over recent years. Barcelona have gone back to back this year after a dominating spell from English clubs. Let's go down to the Europa League, see who's been winning that. Everton must have won it this year, and they did. They're in the Champions League next year, beating Merseyside rivals Liverpool in the final. What a game that would have been. The atmosphere would have been electric. Before that, we've had a real mix of clubs. Milan, Wolfsburg United, Celtic with a great achievement in season 6. Chelsea, Lyon, Chelsea again, then Tottenham and Arsenal to start off the series. So in the first year, Unai Emery at Arsenal won the Europa League and the Premier League. That's some going as well. What an achievement by certain clubs in this one. Celtic making a comeback for Scotland. The Scottish League really seems to do well in game. It always seems to bounce back up the ladder and become one of the most reputable leagues in Europe. And lastly, let's go and look at both the European Championships and the World Cup just to see which international teams have been winning the big honours. So let's start with the Euros. Hopefully that'll be up there. The holders are England. No surprises really with the English League loaded, that those sides have really been doing well, both in Europe and on the international stage. So England have got a good side at the moment. Let's go and see who their star is. Rob Cooper of Manchester United, worth £70 million, and at just 23 years of age, what a midfielder he's going to be for years to come. They've still got Trent Alexander-Arnold, Lewis Cook from Bournemouth, and Dele Alli stars in the side, Ryan Brewster and Joe Gomez, Jadon Sancho as well, Ben Chilwell and Reece Nelson, Jordan Pickford and Harry Kane, some of the senior members of the squad. So plenty of familiar names, but good to see that England have won a major trophy after France won it in 2020. Obviously this summer England will be hoping to defend it, and we'll feed back on that at the start of next season, just to give you some quick info on who won the tournament in that one. Then let's finish on the World Cup. Did England replicate that success there? They didn't. It was Italy who won it in 2026. They beat England in the final though, so a really good strong international team we've got, though Italy were better than us on that day. It was France the 2 times before. They defended the World Cup. A brilliant achievement for them, and surely something their fans will never forget. So plenty of interesting news from all the big tournaments. I guess obviously most of the big surprises were clubs that were moving up or down the English ladder. It's always surprising surprising to see the likes of a Blackpool drop 3 divisions and Maidstone surging up the leagues. And it's one of the things I always enjoy seeing in this series, so I hope you've enjoyed this review as well. If you did enjoy the video as always, and you have been following the series over the last 10 years, please do put a thumbs up on the video. I really hope you're looking forward to the Premier League season as much as I am. I'll be back with the transfer special in a couple of days' time, and then the episode after will be our first ever game in the Premier League. Hopefully it'll be a really special occasion. But a massive thanks for joining me and following along again. Let me know down in the comments anything I missed out, anything else you wanted to see or know, and I'll try and get back to you in the comments to let you know. Did I miss any surprises? Or just let me know if you support a team and how they're getting on in this series. Subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content from my 2 long-term stories, this one with Torquay United, which we've just spelled out the plan for the next couple of episodes. They're going to be 1 or 2 of the biggest ones of the series, so I hope you'll come along and join me for that. And then we've got our Journeyman series, The Head Coach. That one's a completely different style of save, where we work under a director of football with no say in transfers or contracts, and move from club to club chasing as many trophies as possible. And if you're a fan of other sports games, there's also weekly content on the channel from Snooker 19, with 6 episodes into that one at the moment. So if you do enjoy content from other sports games, please do pop over and check it out. And then from the end of this month, there's also action from Cricket 19, the official game of the Ashes. I've really enjoyed the previous editions by Big Ant, so I'm going to get into a career mode on that one. So expect to see quite a lot of content at the end of May and the first couple of weeks of June. But a massive thanks for your support, watching this one as always, and your continued support with the series. I really do greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you next time for the start of season 11 and our Premier League bow and transfer special.